staff and does not necessarily reflect those of the management and staff of this station.
The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary,
and she conceived by the Holy Spirit.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Behold the handmaid of the Lord.
Be it done to me according to your word.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of death. Amen.
And the Word was made flesh,
and dwelt amongst us.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God,
that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Pour forth, we beseech you, O Lord, your grace into our hearts, that we, to whom the incarnation of Christ, your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda, DZKI-IRIGA, member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
CNN Philippines Hour sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta alas 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines Hour.
Duterte said price controls of basic commodities should immediately take effect in these areas, and rescue and relief efforts should be carried out fast. Disaster management officials report 177 people are dead, 275 injured, and 37 others still missing. Typhoon victims number over 1.38 million, including more than 417,000 staying in evacuation centers. The priority for typhoon victims is recovery and survival in the next days, weeks, and possibly months, homeless or without a livelihood. For many of them, that also means spending Christmas in evacuation centers. In the town of Lobok in Bohol, people need potable water. Chrissy Di Matulak joins us live from Lobok. Chrissy, tell us about the situation there.
Pia, residents of Lobok, Bohol are still trying to pick up the pieces as they try to recover from the nightmare that is Odette. Many of the houses in these municipalities were either partially or totally damaged by the typhoon. Because of this, many families will be spending the holidays in evacuation centers. Lydia Tumanda considers herself lucky to have survived the wrath of Typhoon Odette, which struck a few days before Christmas. She admits she and her family were stubborn enough not to heed the call of the local government to evacuate.
Yun lang talaga ang namin nga safe kami lahat. Pero parang na-trauma din kami sa nangyayari. Malakas ang hangin, ulan. Marunong kami lumangoy pero hindi tayo sakarin sa tubig.
Lydia's house withstood the brunt of the storm, but other families were not as fortunate. Many homes were crushed by trees uprooted by Odette's fierce winds. With the typhoon already gone, residents are cleaning up and salvaging whatever they can. Many are still in evacuation centers, where COVID-19 protocols are not the priority at the moment.
Siguro hindi na namin naisipan yung socialisasyon para may matulugan lang kami, okay na.
The lack of basic necessities like potable water remain a problem in most parts of Bohol. People have to line up in water refilling stations for hours.
Alas 4 pa po, ma'am. Madaling araw, 3 araw na po. At saka hanap kami ng hanap, punta kami ng Panglao at saka Tagbilaran. At saka ang isang galoy ay tag 50 pesos.
The provincial government says it is doing its best to deliver the needs of Boholanos affected by the typhoon. But it also needs some assistance from the national government.
We're asking the DSWD na kailangan mag-kick in na sila because 5 days after the crisis, they've only delivered 6,000 packs of food and the funds are with them, no? So we're waiting for them.
Bohol is also calling for help from other local governments in Luzon that were spared from the storm. Lubok residents say Typhoon Odette may have destroyed their homes, but not their spirit. They say this Christmas will still be merry as long as they have each other. Back to you, Pia.
Chrissy Di Matulak there reporting from Lubok in Bohol. Now, help is coming for typhoon survivors by way of a 10 billion peso aid. But while the government said it has identified where the money may come from, as promised by the president, it could not say when the funds could be released.
Wala pa hong ganong commitment na madidistribute by Friday kasi tinitingnan pa nga yung total damage. So hindi pa natin alam kung paano i-distribute siya at kung magkano ang distribution per region and local government unit kung kinakailangan.
The budget department says 2 billion pesos will come from the calamity fund that has been largely spent for COVID-19 response, another 2 billion from the president's contingent fund, and the remaining 6 billion from next year's budget. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Sani Angara expects the president to sign the proposed 5 trillion peso budget for 2022 on Monday. Angara says Odette is an impetus to fast-tracking the signing. The president said last week public coffers have already been depleted because of the pandemic. More countries sending aid for areas hardest hit by Typhoon Odette. The Chinese government is donating additional cash assistance worth nearly 50 million pesos. It earlier pledged 20,000 food packs and millions of kilos of rice. The last batch of rice has been turned over to the Philippine government. The United States, through the U.S. Agency for International Development, is committing 10 million pesos more to relief efforts. It is partnering with various groups to distribute food and hygiene supplies in Surigao del Norte and Dinagat Islands. The U.S. earlier gave shelter assistance and food packs. South Korea will provide around 100 million pesos of humanitarian assistance, as well as more than 2 million pesos worth of in-kind donations. The Korean ambassador to the Philippines earlier met with Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin to discuss aid and convey sympathies. Singapore also pitching in. It will contribute about 3 million pesos as seed money to the Singapore Red Cross for recovery efforts here and in Malaysia, which experienced widespread flooding. Ireland also boosting disaster response by giving over 14 million pesos. It's working with the World Food Programme and the United Nations to hand out essential goods to victims. Hungary, meanwhile, will provide around 3 million pesos, coursing donations through non-profit organization Caritas Manila. The Trade Department says a price freeze is in effect in calamity areas, but as Lois Calderon tells us, gasoline and potable water sell by as much as 5 times the original price.
Bottled drinking water at 120 pesos per liter. That's 5 times more than the 25 pesos per liter tag price before killer Typhoon Odette struck most parts of Visayas and Mindanao. These were the Facebook posts of Cebu residents and their families calling for aid. In Bohol, gasoline prices skyrocketed to 150 pesos per liter. The Trade Department says a price freeze is automatic upon the declaration of a state of calamity. So basic commodities like drinking water and fuel should be sold at prices where they were before the Odette disaster.
Prices are frozen on prevailing prices. We already have the prevailing prices. It's already out, used by our monitors in the disaster-stricken areas or areas declared under a state of calamity.
A price freeze order is one thing, but policing violators is another. As retailers in Odette-hit cities like Cebu and Bohol struggle to replenish supplies to sell to long lines of people needing food and water, prices inevitably rise as businesses cannot sell at a loss. Cargo and freight costs have spiraled because roads are blocked and airports like in Siargao Island are destroyed.
My members in Visayas region are all hit, okay? They don't have supplies. Mahirap i-control ang prices because ang problema distribution, okay? Islands to eh. So distribution is the problem. It's not the price because people want to make a lot of money, but the cost of transferring. I had a friend who spent 33,000 pesos for his family lang just to transfer air cargo, water. Imagine water.
In Manila, where there's no price freeze, the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarket Association says some goods saw price hikes: disinfectant, toothpaste, chicken, pancit canton, and pasta.
May mga nagtaas ng 7%, may nagtaas ng 12%, meron, no? Sabay-sabay lahat eh. Relief operations, Christmas gift giving, a little campaigning on the side by the LGUs.
Amid relief efforts in the aftermath of Typhoon Odette, basic goods like drinking water and canned meat are highly in demand. The Supermarket Association appeals to members to keep prices of these relief goods at bay and help ease the pain of our kababayans in Visayas and Mindanao who are left without food and shelter, especially during Christmas. Lois Calderon, CNN Philippines.
Coming up on Newsnight, in preparation for the largely mutated Omicron variant, fully vaccinated adults now have a shorter waiting time to get their booster shots. And which hopefuls lead Pulse Asia's recent voter preference survey? Find out after the break.
What we are is personal banking, where we understand that every deposit is your hard-earned money. Every loan is for good reason. Every service aids in your convenience. Every business of ours is meant to grow yours. We hear you, feel you, and we act on your every banking need. Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation.
May pagbabago man sa dekorasyon, sa pangangaroling, at sa simoy ng selebrasyon. Ang maiiwan na damang-dama ay sarap ng Pasko na buong-buo. Sarap na hatid ng Pure Foods Noche Buena. Sarap na dala ng pamilyang bumubuo sa Pasko. Buo ang Pasko sa Paskong Pure Foods.
For my babies, only vet-approved Nutri-Chunks puppies. The only one with active boost and prebiotics na Pampalisto. Made with real meat with essential nutrients to help them grow strong and healthy. Happiness! Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks puppies.
Pangarap ng bawat Pilipino, hangarin ng Northern Cement.
Ahon, bangon, sulong!
Pinalaki ng Northern Cement ang kapasidad ng kanilang planta para steady ang supply ng sementong tigasing. Northern Cement Max Plus, Supreme at Max Pro.
Ahon, bangon, sulong!
Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang isang ina, handa akong gawin ang lahat para sa kaligtasan ng aking mga anak.
Pandemya man, tuloy pa rin ang serbisyo para malinis ang kapaligiran.
Serbisyong publiko para sa kaligtasan ng lahat.
Sa panahon ng krisis, ikaw, ako, magtulungan tayo. Saludo ako sa Pilipino.
Payment solutions made easy, collection solutions made efficient, and managing bank information made easy. The Bancom way. Bancom cash management solutions ensure companies more efficient payments, better cash flow, and easier cash and check collections. Bancom Pay offers payment solutions that will deliver your company's needs more efficiently with Cash Pay, Check Pay, Direct Pay, and GovPay. Bancom Collect offers collection solutions that prioritize your company's security and convenience to ensure effective and easy transactions with Deposit Collect and Direct Collect. Bancom Connect allows you to effectively monitor and manage your company's funds and transactions in real time online through Bancom Business and Bancom Business Direct. Visit Bank of Commerce online or text the hotline for more details. Improve your profitability through effective cash management. Go the Bancom way today.
Ang tatay ko, ginawang ligtas, panatag at maayos ang buong bayan.
Wala yan sa tatay ko. Ibinalik ang ganda ng Boracay.
Mas magaling yung tatay ko. Nakamit niya ang kapayapaan sa Mindanao.
Ang tatay ko sinagot ang ospital at papagamot ko.
Sino yung tatay ko?
Ang tatay ko.
Tatay ko.
Ang tatay ko.
Si Tatay Digong.
Si Tatay Digong.
Si Tatay Digong.
Si Tatay Digong.
Siya ang tatay ko.
Taas noo nating pagmalaki, tayo ay Pilipino.
Uy! Salamat! Nagyaya ka na uli!
Salamat! Nicor Valley lifted! Salamat! May bago tayong tropa! Salamat! Tayo ay buhay pa! Salamat sa Primera Light na tikman! Primera klase ang Primera Light inuman!
Salamat, Spree!
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. The Food and Drug Administration cuts the waiting time for COVID-19 booster shots. Adults with complete doses of AstraZeneca, Moderna, Pfizer, Sinovac, and Sputnik V can receive an additional shot 3 months after their last. Those who got the one-dose Janssen can get a booster after 2 months. Vaccine experts panel member Dr. Jean Solante explains the shorter gap was recommended because protection declines to between 20 to 40% against the Omicron variant. Recent studies show antibody levels rise to around 70 to 80% when a third shot, especially if an mRNA vaccine is given. Solante adds the best time to give a booster is on the 3rd month when it can still produce enough antibodies against Omicron.
So for you to maintain that protection, you need a third dose at this point in time, early, no? Kasi you need to maintain a higher antibody level against a heavily mutated variant. Hindi kagaya ng US ngayon, no? At saka UK kasi marami ng kaso, ngayon pa lang sila magbo-booster ng third dose nila ng 3 months, no? So at least tayo, 3 pa lang ang kaso. So pinaghandaan na natin.
Vaccine experts are still unsure if a second booster shot is needed after 6 months. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez, meanwhile, says supply is enough for the unvaccinated and those getting more doses. More people traveling again after nearly 2 years of navigating through this pandemic. In one major bus terminal, it is busier than ever as the number of commuters exceed pre-pandemic levels. Our CNR Arcangel has more on what travelers may face before going home for Christmas.
Chris Ann Lozada took a chance and was able to get a bus ticket for Quezon even without a reservation. Lozada is traveling with relatives. She says booking a trip in advance seemed impractical because of an advisory from the bus company.
Yes, we are lucky kasi dun sa pila namin kanina, may mga family na naubusan na and January pa makakakuha ulit. Kaya feeling blessed din kami na makakauwi kami.
But Lozada's case is not common in the rush to the provinces for Christmas. According to the management of the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, most bus trips for Calabarzon and Bicol were fully booked until Christmas Eve a few weeks ago. The volume of passengers at the terminal has also surpassed pre-pandemic levels, numbering as much as 105,000 on Monday.
The numbers are higher than pre-pandemic numbers, ma'am, no? Kasi same time 2019, ang highest namin was not even around 90,000. We expect this to continue, but we're busy in preparing, no? Kasi we think alataas pa ito, lalo na bukas hanggang sa 24th.
The terminal management has deployed roving personnel to remind people to observe minimum public health protocols. Physical distancing is carried out for seats in waiting areas. There's a booth offering antigen test for travelers in case their destination requires it. Seaman Ruel Maglipon is hoping to get a bus ticket for Albay to be home for Christmas.
Sa palaran lang, ma'am, kung meron, kung wala naman, okay lang. Napaka-importante kasi nag-abroad po ako.
While some travelers want to take chances, the terminal management advises people to first contact bus companies before heading to the PITX. Cian Arcangel, CNN, Philippines.
Last-minute shoppers flocking to Divisoria, Manila 3 days before Christmas. But as Tristan Odado tells us, sales are still far from hitting targets amid the pandemic.
From Zambales, Thelma Ferrer traveled to Divisoria for a quick Christmas shopping. She says she wants to find the best deals on toys for her grandchildren.
Ayos lang, maganda naman ang kasi medyo maluwag na. Mura kasi rito mga bilihin kaya dinadayo talaga.
Despite the increase in the number of holiday shoppers, one toy vendor laments that they have yet to meet their target Christmas profits.
Hindi katulad dati na mabili ngayon, parang alangan yung bili, parang matumal pa siya. Magpapasko na, wala pa rin. 3 araw na lang, 22 ngayon eh.
Vendors say that they did not increase their prices amid the Christmas rush, but sellers of face masks say their items remain in demand during the season.
Yung iba po, ginagawa pong pangregalo na iba po binebenta. Kaya mas marami po sila talagang binibili. Tsaka mas makakamura po sila pag marami pong binibili.
Traffic in Divisoria remains manageable according to enforcers, while barangay officials roam the streets to remind the public to follow minimum health protocols amid the holiday rush. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
In other news, presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos and his running mate Sara Duterte Carpio are the top choices for the country's highest posts in the latest election survey. Pulse Asia survey conducted early this month shows more than half of the respondents want Marcos to become president in 2022. Second on the list, Vice President Leni Robredo with 20% of respondents backing her bid. She climbed to second place after ranking 5th in Pulse Asia's survey last September. Meanwhile, 23% of respondents in the December poll say they would vote for Manila Mayor Isko Moreno if their initial choice backs out of the presidential race. Moreno topped other aspirants for second choice voting. Over to the vice presidency, Mayor Duterte leads other aspirants with 45% of respondents supporting her. Senate President Tito Soto is next with 31%. Soto is also the top alternative choice for the post. Pulse Asia conducted the survey through face-to-face interviews with 2,400 Filipino adults with a 2% error margin for the nationwide poll. Still ahead on Newsnight, when will the next Miss World be crowned? The highly anticipated pageant already has a new date for next year. Find out when we return.
pandemic, serving others is the best. Sa pagtutulungan, patuloy ang ating laban sa buhay. Kaya dapat always healthy. With proper diet, exercise, and MX3 coffee mix to ignite my day.
Hi guys!
Lagi akong focused, active, at extraordinary. Because the most important things in life deserve nothing less. MX3 coffee mix, my choice.
Number 1 ba talaga ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy? The best! No more questions, Your Honor. Walang duda! Pinaka-tender, pinaka-juicy, at pinaka-masarap. Kaya number 1, pa-order by the heart.
Walang duda. Kids can tell, number 1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy.
Welcome to our world, where we empower our customers to determine their personal path to financial success. Introducing the Bancom Experience Program from Bank of Commerce, an exclusive membership program for a discerning few. Enjoy more personalized banking and access to exclusive benefits that suit your lifestyle, including a safer banking experience with the EMV debit card, higher EMV debit card withdrawal limits. Grow a successful and rewarding financial future with experience from Bank of Commerce. Visit Bank of Commerce online for more details.
Wala kayo sa tatay ko. Kinuwang libre ang pag-aaral ko sa kolehiyo.
Ang tatay ko, namigay ng libreng irigasyon.
Wala yan sa tatay ko. Mga tulay, kalsada at infrastruktura. Yun ang pinagawa nun.
Ang tatay ko sinagot ang ospital at pagpagamot ko.
Sino yung tatay ko?
Yung tatay ko?
Yung tatay ko?
Ang tatay ko?
Si Tatay Digong?
Si Tatay Digong?
Si Tatay Digong?
Si Tatay Digong?
Siya ang tatay ko.
Mabuhay ang malayang Pilipinas.
For ghosts, there's no place like home.
This main house has something in it.
And home is Discovery Plus. Freak out on all the episodes of Ghost Adventures.
Whatever is up in that room doesn't want us there.
I heard that. Discovery Plus is here, the exclusive home of Ghost Adventures. Subscribe now at 129 pesos per month.
Ang main role talaga ng energy labeling program is informing our consumers to make decisions on purchase based on what is best for them. Hanapin lang po natin yung ating energy label at tignan, mas mataas ang numero, mas madaming star, mas matipid ang ating kinukuhang appliance. Ang ating Philippine Energy Labeling Program ay yung ating mandatory program para dun sa ating mga energy-consuming products kagaya ng refrigerator, air conditioners, television sets, at saka yung ating ilaw or various lighting products na nag-guide po ito. Ito po ay sticker na inilalagay sa mga produktong ito na naglalaman po ng impormasyon sa kanya pong energy efficiency rating at kung ano po ang magiging konsumo nito kung atin po siyang pipiliin.
Paskong Pilipino. Ang Pasko para sa ating mga Pinoy, parang gold medal. Dahil ito yung pinaka-espesyal na okasyon para sa ating mga Pilipino. Saman tayo naroroon. At para sa akin, extra special ang Pasko ngayon kasi nanalo ako ng gold medal sa Olympics. Medyo mahirap, pero kinaya. At yun nga, posible. At sobrang saya ko kasi nakita ko ang saya ng bawat Pilipino nung nanalo ako ng gold medal. Totoo. Iba ngayon ang Pasko dahil hindi tayo makapagsama-sama. Mabigat man sa damdamin, kaya nating buhatin. Siguradong mas tumatag pa ang ating samahan dahil matapang tayong nagtutulungan sa pagbangon. Kaya dapat lamang na ituloy itong masayang selebrasyon. Yan ang Paskong Pilipino. At syempre, para kumpleto ang handaan, dapat kasama ang Ginebra San Miguel. Kaya mga kabarangay, masaya natin pagdiwang ang Kapaskuhan kasama ang Ginebra San Miguel. Isang ganatang Pasko para sa ating lahat.
Welcome back. A new date has been set for the Miss World pageant. Fans can look forward to the country's bet, Tracy Maureen Perez, gracing the stage on March 16, 2022 in Puerto Rico. The coronation night, originally slated for December 16, was postponed because of COVID-19. Tracy is already among the top 30 candidates following her win in round 2 of the head-to-head challenge. It is 3 days before Christmas. CNN Philippines brings you this Christmas tradition. The man behind a number of classical Filipino carols joins me for a special episode on Newsnight. Jose Marichan, together with his children, tomorrow at 6 p.m. And the caroling continues on news.ph with the Bukas Palad Music Ministry. That's also tomorrow, live at 7 p.m. And as we set off into the holidays, don't forget that a truly merry celebration is a safe one. Let's continue to follow health protocols, wear your mask, wash your hands regularly, practice physical distancing, and as much as possible, avoid social gatherings to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Happy holidays from everyone here in CNN Philippines. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Hontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond headlines.
With the further easing of pandemic restrictions, the government has been rolling out its COVID-19 vaccination program for minors who are 12 to 17 years old. With the further easing of pandemic restrictions, the government has been rolling out its COVID-19 vaccination program for minors who are 12 to 17 years old. It's part of a bigger plan to safely reopen schools that have been kept shut since the start of the pandemic. Now, the target is to inoculate 80% of the younger population by the end of the year. Can we do it? And what do we know so far about this initiative? We'll find out more here on MedTalk Health Talk, only on CNN Philippines. We're here to build a healthier future for you. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. The move to vaccinate minors is a result of plans to gradually reopen schools for limited face-to-face classes. Now, to help us with today's discussion, let's welcome Dr. Ronjean Solante, who's the head of the Infectious Diseases and Tropical Medicine Department of the San Lazaro Hospital and Medical Center and member of the Vaccine Expert Panel. Also with us is Dr. Ana Lisa Ong Lim, who is the chief of the Pediatric Infectious Disease Division of the Philippine General Hospital and a member of Healthcare Professionals Alliance Against COVID-19. Thank you once again for being here on MedTalk Health Talk. Always glad to have both of you on the show. Now, let me start with this question. I'll ask Dr. Jean, what have been the results so far of studies out there that are making way for the vaccination of the younger population dito sa Pilipinas?
These are the two vaccines that are being currently used for the rollout in children, 12 to 17, Moderna and Pfizer. And both of these have very high efficacy. And I think that paved the way for the approval. They were given an EUA in other countries, and that also paved the way for Philippine FDA EUA that we can use this for this age group of 12 to 17 years old.
Now, Dr. Jean, bakit 12 to 17 lang ang age limit? Bakit yung mga younger than that hindi eligible for vaccination? A lot of parents or a lot of reports now come na meron pa rin na-infect na below 12 years old. Paano na ngayon sa mga batang gano'n? Yung mga parents na worried about their kids who are younger than 12?
The priority here is really to vaccinate as many as the children, no? Younger than the 12 years old. No? But I think based on the data that they're presenting, they prioritize first the 12 to 17 because this is more or less in terms of the weight and in terms of the immunogenicity among, when comparing it with the 16 to 25 years old, medyo magkahawig lang to, no? So they prioritize the 12 to 17 years old, okay? And if you notice, the dosage also is the same as that with the adult, but if you look at the 11 to or the 5 to 11, it's really a different group of children already.
Dr. Ana, what do we know so far when it comes to side effects? Pareho lang ba ito dun sa mga adults na nabigyan ng vaccine?
Most of the reports, Doc Freddy, are still showing that the adverse effects following immunization are as what we see in adults. Yung pain in the injection site, swelling, redness, fever, sometimes body aches and pains are still the predominant adverse events being reported. Although I have to say na after the rollout for the 12 to 17-year age range, syempre meron tayong global adverse events reporting system na nakapick up ng very rare cases of heart inflammation or what's called myocarditis. In fact, yung sa database ng US, all the way through June or July of 2021, after 300 million doses, ang rate is 0.0004%. So napakakonti. But of course, syempre, binabantayan pa rin yan.
Maraming nagtatanong, is there even a slight possibility na yung anak nila, given the COVID-19 vaccine, pwede ba nilang makuha ang COVID-19 sakit dito sa vaccine?
Ang ginagamit nating mga bakuna globally against COVID-19 are what we call the inactivated vaccines. Ang laman niyan, dead virus or parts of the virus na hindi naman mabubuhay pag tinurok na natin sa katawan. So when you get vaccinated, the outcomes expected are protection against severe critical disease and lowering the risk of death.
The vaccination process for minors is very similar with the adult group, except that they have to present a signed consent form. They must also be with their parent or guardian on the day of vaccination. Dr. Ana, please walk us through the registration process. At pwede bang magpabakuna ang mga walk-in, yung mga hindi nag-register beforehand?
Siguro medyo maninibago ang mga kababayan natin dito sa prosesong to kasi when we go get our vaccinations, there are no documents being signed naman eh. The fact that you're there in the clinic asking to be vaccinated is taken to be your consent. Pumapayag ka kasi nandoon ka nga. Pero dito, dahil nga emergency use authorization, kahit sa adults, pinagpipirma tayo ng consent, ganun din sa mga bata. Pero ang pipirma ay yung magulang dahil wala pa sa legal age yung bata. Ang hinihingi natin sa bata ay yung assent. Pumapayag din siyang mabakunahan. Most LGUs will ask for kids to be scheduled because we want to manage crowds.
Right.
Yun kasi yung nagiging source ng pagkakahawaan hindi yung bakuna, yung proseso ng pagbabakuna ang problema natin. But I would encourage our viewers to be alert for any announcements from their LGUs because in some cases, pumapayag nga ng walk-ins. You're right to mention that, no? At baka naman ma-accommodate sila.
Okay. Now, Dr. Ana, when it comes dito sa medical certificate na required for vaccination ng mga minors, what should the parents know about this? Dapat ba hawak-hawak nila ito? Will they be turned away kapag wala silang medical certificate from their doctor?
Part ng rollout natin focused on 12 to 17s with comorbidities. Doon hininga ng medical certificate because we wanted to make sure that the people who were presenting to the vaccination centers were truly the 12 to 17 age 3s o yung with comorbidities. Pero ngayon na nag-expand na tayo ng rollout for normal 12 to 17s, ang kailangan lang talagang magdala ng medical certificate ay yung may comorbidities para lang alam nung team na magbabakuna sa kanila kung ano yung kondisyon ng pasyente. Pero kung healthy yung bata, hindi hinihinga ng medical certificate.
Now, Dr. Jean, pinag-usapan na natin to earlier. When do you think will be the plan for the Philippines to finally have that below 12-year-old group na pwede na rin silang bakunahan?
Sa ngayon, wala pang nag-apply for an EUA for the extended or expanded indication sa mga bata. No? So we would expect na later on siguro, Pfizer will apply for that because that's the same process they did when the vaccine was approved for the 12 to 17 years old in the US. Nung na-approve na to, nung nakita doon sa data na maganda rin ang 5 to 11 years old. And siguro, once na mag-file sila ng EUA, then we can use that.
Now that we know about the vaccine rollout for minors and the side effects, how should parents and their children prepare? We'll have the answers for you after a short break. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk, where your health always comes first. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We're together in health. Adults make up the large majority of COVID-19 cases, but this doesn't mean that children aren't vulnerable. A vaccine will lower their chances of serious complications. In addition to that, if many of them get vaccinated, the chance of us reaching herd immunity goes up. Let's go through some of the more important aspects of pediatric vaccination. Dr. Ana, first, let's explain again kung ano yung mga bakuna na approved para sa mga bata ngayon.
So this will be the Pfizer vaccine as well as the Moderna vaccine. And both belong to the same platform. We call them the mRNA vaccines.
When it comes to these vaccines, itong dalawa lang ang pwede. Does that mean, does this have any significance to the safety when it comes to the kids, itong dalawang brands na to? What about the parents who think about sila na bakunahan with this brand? Can their child be given the same brand that they received as well?
For some of the other platforms, the pediatric trials are still either just starting up or being completed. So of course, we cannot naman give vaccines that don't have an EUA, even if the parents prefer it, kasi we don't have the data to support that this will be safe or efficacious for the kids. So for now, granted that we know that the disease is spreading in our communities and we want for the kids also to be protected since they have the opportunity, then we should take the chance and be vaccinated na.
Now, Dr. Jean, marami ang mga parents ang nagtatanong. One of the reasons rin sa mga hesitancy nila to have their kids vaccinated, their question is, how did the FDA determine yung safety and effectiveness ng mga COVID-19 vaccines, itong two brands of COVID-19 vaccines na pwedeng ibigay sa mga bata?
When we evaluated these vaccines, the number one priority is always how safe these vaccines are. And in fact, in the phase 2, phase 3 trials of the Pfizer and Moderna, those were the main objectives. And they found out that it's really safe, it's tolerable, and that paved the way for the approval. You may have adverse reaction, but the adverse reaction still are very low, and most of them are the ones that you see also in adults. But in terms of the more severe, serious adverse reactions, especially for the mRNA, which is myocarditis, it's really rare at this point in time. So we must, I think, emphasize that these vaccines are really safe before it was approved, and because of that, most countries now are also giving vaccines with this age group.
For the parents' peace of mind, are there any windows? Pwede bang ma-overdose ang isang bata when it comes to these vaccines or any safety requirements such as that?
Kadalasan nakikita natin ang mother are very conscious about the dosage, no? Kung hindi ba mag-overdose. Now, again, balikan natin itong mga dalawang clinical trial, no? And determining the dose was very important. Primarily that it is safe and it is less reactogenic, no? Ibig sabihin, less ang side effect. At the same time, without getting the benefit, which is the efficacy of that particular vaccine.
Meron bang grupo ng mga bata where the parents should be aware who shouldn't get inoculated?
For as long as medically stable, okay kang mabakunahan. Ganon din sa mga bata. Even for those with comorbidities or immunocompromising conditions, we actually encourage vaccination. Kasi kung sila nga ay mahawaan, sila yung napakataas ang risk na ma-ospital o mamatay. So for as long as they're medically stable, okay to vaccinate.
Dr. Ana, let's talk about the safety ng mga children in getting the COVID vaccine as well as their vaccines, yung mga usual vaccines sila for preventable diseases. Alin ang dapat mauna? What's the time frame in between that parents should be aware about?
We actually have data from abroad that simultaneous or co-administration of vaccinations is allowed. However, our local practice has been very, very conservative, and we continue to advocate for a 2-week interval between doses of COVID-19 vaccine and any other vaccine. And this is really just because we want to have less worries, less concerns about any interactions or adverse effects following vaccination and being able to track them well.
Getting vaccinated and following health protocols will protect you from the virus. After a short break, we'll revisit these practices that work. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, where your care comes first. Dr. Jean, review natin para sa mga viewers yung mga health protocols. Lalo na holiday season, what should our viewers know about the proper health protocols?
You have to wear your face mask. Paglabas mo sa bahay, talagang walang tanggalan ng face mask yan, especially when you are in the workplace. And then, as much as possible, we also have to avoid crowding. No? Although, pinababa na ngayon ang alert level natin, so there will be more capacity sa mga workplace or sa mga public transportation. The more we should be compliant with the health protocol, face mask. And I think for me, personally, I would still advocate the use of the face shield, especially in closed spaces.
Dr. Jean, ngayon na nakikita natin na pababa ang trend when it comes to new infections on COVID-19, you still would advocate na we shouldn't let our guard down?
I think ang nakikita natin ngayon, pag sinabing binaba na yung alert level, ang mga tao mas lalong naging kampante. No? So they thought na everything is okay, pwede nang magtanggal ng mask, pwede nang magkipaghalubilo, maski sa ano. No, that should not be the way. That should not be our attitude at this point in time. Remember, the virus is still here. It's not yet zero case. And we're dealing with the most highly transmissible virus, which is the Delta variant. And I think we should always be reminded of these health protocols.
Dr. Ana, in line with that, what do you think about a lot of the parents? Siyempre, matagal na nilang hindi nila na ilalabas ang anak nila, hindi na ipapasyal. And lately, we see a lot of parents bringing their children to malls, to public establishments and whatnot. What is your opinion on this?
I have to admit, nung nakita nga natin nung nakaraang weekend, diba, that was the first weekend after which the restrictions for minors were lifted. Talagang ang dami-daming bata. And unfortunately, marami ding mga bata na hindi talaga makasunod dun sa ating minimum public health standards, pagsusuot ng mask o pag-iwas sa dami ng tao. So siguro bilang mga magulang and guardians, hindi naman natin sinasabing wag nyo nang ilabas yung mga bata. Pero I think dapat kaya nating utakan yung virus eh. We have to be able to outsmart it and think, where should we go where the virus is less likely to be present? So that means dapat hindi sobrang dami yung mga ibang taong makakasama ninyo at mas maganda kung open space para hindi kulob at hindi nag-iipon yung virus at mas maganda rin kung mas kaunti ang tao na nasa paligid, no? So if you keep that in mind, then it's entirely possible to have a safe activity outside of our homes.
Now, as schools reopen, a lot will depend on teachers to ensure that children will be able to continue their education in a safe and healthy environment and make up for the knowledge and skills that may have been lost. Dr. Jean, for both teachers as well as students, what are some of the do's and don'ts inside the classroom that you would advise or recommend?
Dapat bago tayo mag-open ng classes, no, yung face-to-face, both the teachers and the students should be vaccinated na, no? Importante yan. And then I think schools are now preparing also in terms of the ventilation, no, sa mga rooms, and that's very important also kasi alam naman natin na when you open up and then you tend to accommodate more of this in the classroom, there's a possibility that you cannot really prevent, no, yung longer interaction. So one is ventilation, and I think the school should have a very good protocol in terms of the health protocols, health measures, screening, and should also be in place once the schools will be open for the face-to-face.
Ang Delta variant ang pinaka-predominant variant dito sa Pilipinas ngayon. But there are some variants of this as well that are being a cause for monitoring or even concern. What is the latest news? What should parents know about this? And could you explain to us also where these variants come from? Bakit sila dumadami? Are these coming from people who are vaccinated or those who are unvaccinated?
It's a Delta variant that's really the most dominant here in the Philippines. And we know that variant usually exists because of constant and ongoing transmission in the community. There are people that are what we call immunocompromised that are also vulnerable, where most of this variant can really or readily mutate. So the bottom line here is if you are vaccinated, you stop the transmission, you have an antibody, then even if you get the infection, your risk of that variant mutating in a vaccinated will be really, really low compared to an unvaccinated individual. So the bottom line here is that we need everyone to be vaccinated to lessen the transmission and to lessen the risk of these mutations.
Now, Dr. Ana, what advice can you give naman sa mga parents, and how can they prepare their children mentally as well as physically before going back to school? I'm sure maraming parents may be excited but hesitant as well.
They have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. Paano ba natin masisiguro na hindi mahahawaan yung bata? So tama, yung bakuna kung pwede na. Tapos, kailangan din nilang i-orient yung kanilang mga kids kung ano ba yung purpose nung ginagamit ng mga PPE and why it's necessary, and how to behave inside the classroom to decrease the risk of transmission. And then siguro, they may also want to coordinate with the school officials to find out ano po ba yung ating protocol or SOPs kung sakasakaling meron tayong ma-detect na positive case, anong gagawin sa mga bata.
What do you think parents should do if their child is exposed nga to someone with COVID-19 in their school?
Let's expect the worst case scenario so we're ready for it. So gusto natin na merong parang some kind of contact tracing system yung school community. Paano ba inire-report ng mga students kung meron silang positive case or may positive case at home? Tapos, paano pinapaalam sa mga close contacts or classmates ng bata? And then, of course, alam naman natin na pagka naging high-risk close contact ng isang individual, meaning hindi siya nakapasa dun sa apat dapat standards, di magko-quarantine dapat yung batang yun. And that means 14 days out of the school setting, and also making sure that the home environment is set up to be able to handle a quarantine situation.
And with that, thank you very much to infectious disease specialist Dr. Ronjin Solante and Dr. Ana Lisa Ong Lim. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Maraming salamat sa inyo. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this has been MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Ako si Peachy Cardinho. May malimit ako magka-UTI hanggang sa sinabi ng doktor na meron akong kidney stone. I tried everything, umiwas sa maalat ng pagkain. May nakapagsabi sa akin about kidney care, kaya sinubukan kong uminom regularly. Pag-inom ko ng kidney care, malaking tulong kasi naging regular and normal na yung pag-ihi ko. Nawala na ng sakit ng balakang ko at ang UTI ko nawala na rin. Kaya salamat sa kidney care.
Mabibili sa Mercury Drugstore.
Ang kidney care hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamiting panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Loren Legarda po. 18 years akong senador at nagsulong ng mga batas na nakakatulong sa mga nangangailangan. Free college education law.
Para sa aming edukasyon.
MSME law.
Batas para sa aming kabuhayan.
Climate Change Act.
Mga batas para sa kalikasan at climate change.
Mga batas na ginawa ko na napapakinabangan ngayon. Sana makatulong pa ako sa mas marami.
Loren Legarda.
This is a paid advertisement. Ang trusted dog food ni Catherine Bernardo. Nutri-Chunks na.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat and essential nutrients that help keep them healthy and happy. Listo ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Nanlalabo na ba ang inyong mga paningin? O kailangan mo ng proteksyon laban sa radiation? Ano pa ang hindi hintay nyo? Pumunta na sa The Vintage Optical. Ang optical para sa lahat. Visit us at the ground floor, Gaisano Capital, Barangay San Roque, Iriga City. We offer free computerized eye examination. Free frame. Lente lang ang babayaran. Starts at 999 complete eyeglasses with anti-radiation lens. The Vintage Optical, the widest selection of optical signature frames and sunglasses. The Vintage Optical, ang optical para sa lahat.
Ringo Honasan po. Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang isang ina, handa akong gawin ang lahat para sa kaligtasan ng aking mga anak.
Pandemya man, tuloy pa rin ang serbisyo para malinis ang kapaligiran. Serbisyong publiko para sa kaligtasan ng lahat.
Sa panahon ng krisis, ikaw, ako, magtulungan tayo. Ringo Honasan po. Saludo ako sa Pilipino.
Libre kong San Miguel Beer, basta akin ang Tansan. Tansan? Sa San Miguel Oktoberfest Instant GCash Panalo Promo, uulan ng up to 100 million pesos in GCash prizes. Buy any San Miguel Beer, hanapin ang code sa crown. Kung meron, panalo ka! I-scan ang QR code sa mga posters at Facebook. I-type ang code and win! Sali na! Available in areas where allowed. See posters for full details. Promo runs from September 1 to December 31, 2021. Per DOH FDA CFR permit number 0424 series of 2021. Drink responsibly.
CNN Philippines Hour sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta alas 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines Hour.